So if you're tired of being exhausted because you didn't sleep the night before, I'm here to share tips with you that are going to help you finally get a good night's rest. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to tackle your sleep issues.
Hey, conscious go-getters.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Shelton Mariolle. I am a PhD student getting my degree in clinical psychology, and I am also the owner of ConsciousLifeShop.com, and I create videos on how to create a sustainable hustle and how to avoid burnout. And today I'm going to share with you my tips on how to tackle your insomnia. So my first tip is you want to assess your sleep problem. You want to take a look at what it is that's actually causing you to have problems so that you can know how to address it. So you want to look at, are you having problems falling asleep, staying asleep, or both? And what's going to help you kind of look at some of the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors around your sleep is by keeping a sleep diary for at least a week, so you can kind of get a better idea on what it is that's actually keeping you awake and waking you up. So you might notice if it's more anxiety related, you might have troubles falling asleep because of racing thoughts, or you're worried about the future, or you're planning, or you're just thinking about all your to-do list. Also, if you're waking up with anxiety related stuff, you might notice that you're having scary dreams, or just waking up in kind of a panic that you don't really know in specific what's shaking you or rattling you, but it's waking you up. If it's more depression related, sadness related, you might notice that you're having ruminating thoughts, replaying events in the past. You may notice just some overall sadness that's not allowing you to really fall asleep. And if you do notice there's some mood stuff going on, like either anxiety or depression, you want to treat that with a therapist that uses evidence-based therapy to kind of address some of those issues. Evidence-based therapy that's really popular is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So you're going to have this sleep diary. You're going to start looking at some of the words that are in your head before you, when you're trying to fall asleep. Pay attention to the words that are in your head, and also pay attention to the words that are in your head when you wake up. You're going to write those down in your sleep diary, and again, I have one that you can just download for free in the description below. And then you're going to address some of those issues that you're noticing, and then also you may want to check in with your primary care physician and just get a checkup, because sometimes sleep issues may be related to medical diagnoses, so it's just good to get a checkup. You can even take your sleep diary into your doctor and just check in with things. Now, once you've kind of looked at what the issue is, whether it's falling asleep issues or waking up issues, then you can kind of use some of these other tips I'm going to give you to kind of create better sleep habits that are going to help you as you work on the other stuff as well. So I'm going to start with my next tip is using sleep aids. So this is tip number 2. One of the aids that I love using is white noise. I use ocean sounds. You can get sound machines on Amazon. You can get nature sounds, you can get ocean sounds, you can get just that white noise sounds, and those can be helpful, especially if you're a light sleeper, to kind of drown out the other noise and let your body relax and fall asleep. Another thing that's really helpful is an eye mask. You might have like little things in your room that have light emitting from them. Those in and of themselves may be keeping you awake, so an eye mask just kind of takes that out of the equation. And then other aids are making sure your room is cool and making sure your room is as dark as possible, and you can use things like blackout curtains to do that. The other thing I want to talk about is the things you're doing throughout your day and before bed. So throughout your day, one thing that's really going to help you sleep better is exercising. And you want to make sure you're not exercising at least 2 hours before you go to bed, because you don't want to get energized from your exercise and make it worse to fall asleep. But if you exercise during the day, that usually really helps fatigue the body, and so by the end of the day, you're tired and ready to fall asleep. You're like just exhausted and ready to fall asleep. And you also want to make sure that you're getting plenty of sunshine throughout the day, because this is going to help balance your circadian rhythm, and it's going to help you naturally fall asleep. Other things that you can do that are helpful before bed are journal. Journaling helps you kind of put down all your thoughts, put down all your to-do lists. You can set it on this paper and kind of put it to the side so you don't feel like you have to keep thinking about it in your brain, and your brain says, okay. And it knows that you have this placeholder for the things to do in the future. And if you're replaying things from your past, you can kind of journal about that and kind of let it go. Other things that you can do before bed are bedtime teas, like chamomile tea is really great for helping you relax and fall asleep. And taking melatonin as well is going to help you, is one of the supplements that's going to help you fall asleep as well once you get it in your system. I think it takes around 2 weeks to get in your system. So the next thing you're going to want to focus on are your sleep hygiene habits. These are your habits around sleep that are really going to help you fall asleep better and avoid insomnia. You're going to want to start creating habits that let your brain easily fall into sleep because it doesn't even have to think about it because it has these routines. So you're going to want to strive for 7 to 8 hours of sleep because that's what research shows us is the best for adults to help our brains rest and restore. You're going to count backwards from when you need to wake up, and you're going to start going to bed every day at the same time. This alone can change and eliminate insomnia because your brain starts to figure out, okay, at this time, it's time to go to bed. Every day at 9 o'clock or 9:30, whatever your time may be, the brain knows this is the time it's starting to wind down. You can also train your brain by only reserving your bed for sleep and sex. You don't want your brain to associate your bed with anything else. That means no reading in bed, no TV in bed, only sleep and sex. You're going to have a bedtime ritual. You're going to go to bed every night at the same time. You're going to do your bedtime tea. You can also do things like a body scan. That's usually really helpful as a bedtime ritual, kind of gets you present with your body. There's lots on UCLA mindfulness website. You can just Google that. They're totally free. And there's tons of body scans for sleep on YouTube as well. And then you can use things like aromatherapy, like lavender, that smell. That could be a good routine before bed as well. And then you're going to get in the bed at the same time every day. And then if you notice that around after 20 minutes that you're not sleeping, you're going to get out of bed and you're going to do something relaxing. Whether that's reading a boring book, not a stimulating book that you're going to be learning and get your brain going again, a boring book in a chair outside of your bed. You might go get a warm glass of milk or something like that, because you don't want your brain to associate your bed with restlessness and tossing and turning and trying to go to sleep. So if it's 20 minutes, you haven't fell asleep, get out, don't panic, just kind of accept, okay, I'm having a hard time falling asleep, maybe say something nice to yourself. And then you're going to get out of the bed, and then you're going to do something for a little while and then get back in and try again. And it's important not to panic when you notice that you're having a difficult time falling asleep. You more want to come from a place of acceptance, because when we panic and start freaking out, it usually makes things worse. And one of the things that I learned from Deepak Chopra is that even if you're in bed laying still, you're still getting the rest that your brain needs to restore itself. So if you're completely still in the bed, you can still get that same rest, and that kind of helps you not to panic as well, because you're not freaking out like, oh no, I'm not getting enough rest, I'm not getting enough sleep, and forcing yourself to fall asleep. Just stay still as you can for about 20 minutes. If you notice you're still not asleep, get out and then try again. So really creating that routine around bedtime is really going to help your brain start to associate certain things with bedtime and make it a lot easier to fall asleep. And then there's some things, I go into my next tip of what not to do. One of the major things you don't want to do, and again, this is one of those tips that can change your eliminate insomnia in and of itself, is you don't want to have screen time before bed, especially if you have sleep issues. You don't want to have any phones, any TVs, any games, and at least an hour before bed. You want to eliminate all screen time. You also want to limit naps to only 20 minutes. You don't want to do naps over 20 minutes throughout the day, because then it's going to make it harder for you to fall asleep at night. So you really want to cap naps. If you're taking naps, you want to cap it off at 20 minutes. You want to avoid large meals at night because the digestion can kind of make it difficult to fall asleep if you're digesting large meals. And then lastly, what not to do, you want to limit alcohol and caffeine. Alcohol, once it's processed, turns into sugar, it can keep you awake, and any caffeine after noon is going to make it difficult to fall asleep, especially if you have insomnia. So if you just have to keep drinking coffee, I suggest drinking only 1 cup before 11 a.m. So these tips in and of themselves are really helpful in changing your sleep habits and helping you fall asleep. So you have your diary, you're going to know why, then you're going to change your sleep hygiene habits around how you fall asleep and how your brain associates your bed with sleep. And that should help you in and of itself a lot, and especially if you're at the same time addressing any anxiety or depression, which is usually linked to insomnia. If you find that after doing all of this, you don't have any medical conditions and you're addressing the mental health issues and you have really good sleep hygiene habits, you're going to want to consult a specialist, because there are some people that have sleep disorders, and having that sleep diary and taking it to your doctor and showing them, hey, everything is checking out, I'm still having concerns about my sleep, is going to help you be directed to a specialist faster. And you can do what's called a sleep study and really get evaluated to see if it's a deeper rooted issue, because there are people that do just have sleep disorders outside of bad sleep habits and outside of mental health issues and other medical issues, so that you can get that checked out. Again, I do have a sleep diary that I'll link below in the description below, completely free. You can just download it and print it. And those are my tips. So I hope that you guys are able to implement these tips and get a good night's rest. These tips have really helped me. If you want more information, you can go to sleepfoundation.org, and they have a plethora of information on sleep and good sleep hygiene. Most of these tips I have gotten from research and organizations like the Sleep Foundation, so that's a really good resource to use as well. And if you like these tips, please comment Conscious Go-Getter below, and I'm wishing you a good night's rest. Namaste.